Today we're starting Life Without Fear by Fred Barge. And this is our reading copy. I have an awesome copy that's signed by Fred Barge. And where we're going to start is in the introduction. And I have often said that belief in chiropractic philosophy gives one a life without fear. The knowledge of normal human physiology derived from the understanding of chiropractic philosophy reveals to one's mind that man's body, under most circumstances, is capable of comprehending and adapting to its environment. Health, in general, is a reflection of proper body function rather than the result of the invasion or non-invasion of pathogens and infectious organisms. The dreaded fear of disease, seen in those who truly believe in so-called germ theory, in quotes, could be led to rest if they but realized the fact that their own bodies harbor most of the organisms that they fear. From this book, The Science, Art, and Philosophy of Chiropractic, D.D. Palmer stated, "One question was always utmost in my mind in my research for the cause of disease. I desired to know why one person was ailing and his associate, eating at the same table, working at the same shop, at the same bench, was not. Why? What difference was there in the two persons that caused one to have pneumonia, catarrh, typhoid, or rheumatism, while his partner, similarly situated, escaped? Why? This question had worried thousands for centuries, was answered September 1895." End quotes. D.D. Palmer's question is a good example of the uniqueness of sickness. One child in a household of children will frequently harbor strep infections while the others are not troubled. Ask any farmer why one chicken in the coop will harbor lice and yet those perching next to it are free of the parasites, and he will tell you it's a sick chicken. The lice have not made the chicken sick. They are harbored by a sick chicken. I have been a fortunate man. I was number 9 in my family to become a chiropractor. My father was a chiropractor, well steeped in the traditional concepts of this profession. As a young lad, I had listened intently to the discussions of my chiropractic relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins, as they discussed dis-ease and its causation. My 2 aunts were registered nurses as well as DCs, so the discussion was replete with the allopathic opinions. The solid reasoning behind the chiropractic rationale was soon apparent to my young mind. As a child, I practiced what I preached. Today, 47 years after my graduation as a doctor of chiropractic, I can truly say my increased understanding deepens my convictions. My ongoing research in chiropractic has been devoted to the field of spinal mechanics as a result of singular subluxation that I noted early in my practice. Thus, I pursued the analysis of this disc lesion, subluxation, writing the papers and delivering research reports that earned my PhD degree from my alma mater in 1965. Continued research efforts in the determination of the identity of the major cause of idiopathic rotary scoliosis drove me to finish a trilogy of chiropractic technique books, tortipelvis, torticollis, and scoliosis. The final book in the trilogy was published July 1981. At this point, through the urging of my colleagues and latent strong interest on my part, I began a task of writing this text. Currently, I also finished and published a manuscript called You Are the Doctor, Doctor. This little book on the art of successful practice also contains much chiropractic philosophy. It is my opinion that chiropractors for too long have not spoken out at our philosophical approach to health and disease. Belligered as a chiropractic has been by orthodox medicine, and have strived to prove our value by defending the practice of our science and providing its clinical validity, especially in musculoskeletal disorders. Essentially, we have won the battle of acceptance, but have we fought so long that we've forgotten what we battle for? Now it is time to reveal the source of our strength, the source of why we have been able to endure the individualism of different modes of practice and the constant attack of organized medicine. To emphasize the importance of again bringing forth our philosophy, I will quote in part the medical anthropologist E. Martin D. Philo, Department of Sociology, Simon Fraser, University of British Columbia, in a paper printed in a journal of the Canadian Chiropractic Association, September 1980. At the cultural level, chiropractic has continually revised its theoretical model for more as a change of orientation than basic content. D.D. Palmer included both the metaphysical and the mechanical in his original theory of chiropractic. Modern chiropractic theorists are also metaphysical plus mechanical, but there have been some significant changes in the balance between these two dimensions. Palmer's emphasis on the innate and the universal forces have been moved out of the public eye and reduced to an article of faith, like a secret initiation. Chiropractors after Palmer have intended to stress technique. Chiropractors after the development of work of Carver and Eli, and more recent attempts to put chiropractic on a solid scientific footing are examples of trends in this direction. The effort is to create a closer cultural fit between chiropractic and general ideas. Since ideas like the innate and other notions are generally now classified as religious, but have declined in this century, chiropractic metaphysics have been concealed behind journals of allopathic style. Palmer's teaching is certainly not dead, but it has been kept away from public scrutiny as chiropractors have sought to justify themselves to the powers that be. There are exceptions, of course, but in general, the 85 years of history of chiropractic have been marked by a transition in emphasis from teaching the metaphysics of profession and technique. Dr. Morin goes on to say, conclusion and recommendations. The present threat to chiropractic, as I see it, is cultural and not social. At a cultural system, chiropractic has derived certain defining traits. A major trait has been the chiropractic technique, which in the public mind has become synonymous with chiropractic. But the very present, chiropractors are losing their exclusive claims to practice spinal manipulations. Allopaths and physiotherapists are already accepting using this technique. What then will chiropractic have? It may never lose spinal manipulation techniques to allopathy, but is chiropractic likely to thrive in direct competition with well-funded, well-staffed public institutions like hospitals? In the face of this threat, it appears to me that chiropractic would do well to rethink their personal and professional directions along with following lines. Re-examine the place of philosophy in practice. Chiropractic theory has become a secret doctrine. It is something learned, respected, and revered, but little practiced. The social pressure from medicine has brought technique to the forefront, and philosophy has slipped back as a result. There are two main implications of the demise of chiropractic philosophy. The first is the appearance of that which is distinctively chiropractic, having already begun to lose the exclusive practice of spinal manipulation to allopaths, the physiologists only. The chiropractic philosophy distinguishes the chiropractic practitioner, and yet the philosophy is kept hidden anyway. In response to social threats to its existence, chiropractic has accepted the materialistic worldview of the allopaths. It has done so in fear of being labeled quackery, and it was undoubtedly a good strategy to follow at one time. The public knows next to nothing of chiropractic philosophy and healing, and its mechanisms. If hospitals offer spinal manipulations, a chiropractor offers nothing. This distortion of the chiropractic tradition can only be overcome by re-evaluation of its place of theory in chiropractic. Such a re-evaluation would look at issues such as the acceptability of chiropractic explanatory theory, methods of conveying theory to patients, the place of philosophy and technique, and like this, and this is in bold, dispossessed of its philosophy, chiropractic is dispossessed of its uniqueness and perhaps its future. The second aspect of physiological re-examination is more personal. The exchange in emphasis away from the chiropractic theory in favor of technique has been a response to external pressure. Another result of this pressure has been the growth of what could be called chiropractic practitioner paranoia and insecurity. For fear of being labeled quacks, chiropractors have generally diminished the role of philosophy in their practice, and as a result, it seems to me, have themselves lost faith in its philosophy, in the philosophy. Healers without confidence in their own methods are unlikely to achieve the full potential of their methods, knowing, as we do, there is so much more to healing than mechanism. He ends his lengthy and well-written paper by saying this: the 18,000 chiropractors in North America would do well to accept that they have achieved a measure of security as a social medical group. They can then orient themselves in pursuing the healthcare ideals of chiropractic philosophy, a goal with the additional benefits of preserving the uniqueness character of chiropractic. Emphasis on hours. I regret I cannot quote Dr. Morinis' entire paper in this book, but I would diverge too much from the book's intent. His statements do poignantly point out the need for chiropractors to embrace its philosophy and fully expand its position in regards to the viewpoints that conflict with today's accepted medical theory. We must not be afraid to take exceptions and speak out against compulsory vax, artificial fluoridation, and overuse of drugs. Unfortunately, unnecessary surgeries, bringing forth again the zeal of the past, coupled with a light of scientific understanding that our excellent chiropractic educational system has brought forth. Without the heart of each new DC, within the heart of each new DC, we must again burn the desire to bring forth the public truths, bring forth to the public the truths of our philosophy and our unique approach to health. In the words of Dr. Morinis, I again seek emphasis. The examination of philosophy involves an assessment to the place of chiropractic theory in the personal life of the chiropractor and his or her own family. A discrepancy between what one holds to be true and what one does a discrepancy between what one holds to be true and what one does must be squarely faced and resolved. If the practitioner is to be transformed from technician into healer. This book will quote extensively from past chiropractic authors. As I have stated in my writings, much in chiropractic has been lost to the grindstone of time, deferring schools of thought into our past set up the internal quarreling that has pestered our profession. Colleagues vying for students created technical movements, each claiming superiority over the other. Therapies and ancillary procedures used by our schools brought the wrath of more conservative elements upon them, and thus the often mentioned dichotomy developed within the profession. Yet, in searching past texts, reading the early writings of the major schools of the time, much was written concurring with the writings of D.D. Palmer. This book is meant to lay aside differences and show clearly the common bond that weaves the web of cohesiveness amongst us. As Dr. Morinis stated, dispossessed of its philosophy, chiropractic is dispossessed of its uniqueness and perhaps its future. E.A. Morinis. D. Philo. A friend of D.D. Palmer, the third generation Palmer, my friend Dr. David D. Palmer, the third generation Palmer, had this to say: I have a job to do, a family heritage of responsibility. I like golf, I like sailing, I like the sun, and 'tis this very true. I'd rather be relaxing, enjoying the great outdoors of sports and travel. Yet, I have a grave obligation to humanity, the college, my profession, my family, my community. These in my life must come first. Chiropractors of today must now preserve what the Palmers and our many chiropractic giants of the past so valiantly strove to protect, nurture, ameliorate: the philosophy of chiropractic. Here's a picture of David Palmer. We bless him too. This was the intro to Life Without Fear. There's been a great deal of posting conversations about technicians creating in our profession. And we need chiropractors, not technicians. The poignance of this introduction is absolutely amazing of this book. It should be stated and given to every child, every adult, and especially every chiropractic student, taught at first quarter, given to in prerequisites, and reading that statement over and over again to every professor. I've been to multiple schools, nearly everyone in the country, and rarely have even all the professors understood what chiropractic was about, especially the science professors. We need to get to them because most are not chiropractors. The CCE has removed that from our profession of us, our chiropractors teaching the sciences. My phone is already blowing up because Spirit is feeding us. Would you mind answering that, please? We need to change the world right now in this moment, not be afraid to teach the philosophy of chiropractic and the spiritual nature of who we are that D.D. Palmer gave us now and forever. We do not let the techniques or the seminars dictate what chiropractic is. Today is the day, tomorrow never comes. That's from Pasquale Sarasoli. We have to do it now. God bless you. Get on the Synapse Philosophy podcast with us. We post it on Rumble. We post it on YouTube. We post it on Facebook and our Synapse Philosophy page. Come to my innate workshops. This is what we teach at innate workshops. We teach our philosophy and the spiritual content of what we do. It is not taught anywhere else in chiropractic right now. We need to save our profession so the denizens of the earth who deserve chiropractic at its best are able to receive it for the generations to come. God bless you. I love you. And keep serving the people.